Namaskar. So, freedom. This is something that we all deeply desire, and it is part of our intrinsic human dharma or human nature. To want limitlessness, to want expansion, to want no limits to our freedom. Now, all of the aspects of human dharma, they can manifest in a subtle way that takes us towards the expression of our full potential, or they can manifest in ways that keep us bound. We can either be caught up in a limitless cycle of desires that as soon as one is fulfilled, another one comes up. And I think, we experience this on a daily basis. Like when I go and I'm just checking social media, at first it gives you some satisfaction, and you're like, oh, just one more, let me see what else is happening here. And, you get some satisfaction, maybe from some piece of information or something new that you discovered, but then that satisfaction, it just fades right away. And you want another stimulation, and you keep looking and keep scrolling. And like this, many of our behaviors can become very addictive because we're looking for that quick fix. And it gives us a temporary feeling of joy, or a temporary, satisfies our need to understand something new or to explore. But as soon as we obtain it, it's fading. Another example is I run a children's home, and it's so fun. Christmas time is a really fun time because for each of the children, we try to think of something that will really make them happy. And so I remember one of the boys was just really longing for a remote controlled helicopter. He kept repeating how much he wanted this. And so I knew one of his sponsor had gotten him a beautiful, expensive, remote controlled helicopter. And I was so excited for him. I was really looking forward to Christmas morning when he would, open it and have that joy and really, be able to explore this toy for a while. Well, he was very excited when he got it and opened it and couldn't wait to go and test it. But he went outside and flew it, and it just kind of crashed into the snow. And he didn't even bother to go and look for it. The joy lasted approximately 10 or 15 minutes. And then already it was broken. And so much, hope had gone into, thinking about how much satisfaction and joy this will bring this child. And the reality was the joy was there, but it was so short-lived. Kind of disappointing for me. Also, I think for him. Anyway, material things are like this. As soon as we obtain them, they kind of lose their flavor. And we move on to the next thing, looking for something else. Even you're really longing for a particular ice cream. And you go and you get it, and as soon as you're eating it, it's melting. It's already melting. It's already dissolving. It's you get that blissful feeling of your favorite flavor of ice cream. And then even, you can't grasp it. You can't hold on to it. It's already disappearing, as you are in the process of enjoying it. It's already kind of gone. And then you are again, maybe you're happy, satisfied for an hour or two, but then again, that same longing is going to come up. That same desire for something else, It's never going to be satisfied. And this can make us kind of feel okay, there's no satisfaction. I'm never going to be, every time I get something, it's not enough. I always want something else. And indeed, this quality of Vistara, this quality of expansion, this quality of desiring infinite freedom, but also infinite joy, and never wanting limitations, never wanting something only partial. We want more and more. So obviously, if this is only directed towards the material level, what happens? we become kind of greedy. We're never satisfied. We always want more. And this can lead to, expressions of materialism and attachment that kind of bring us down, get us more stuck in the bondages of the material world. Or the same quality of Vistara and of that desire for the infinite can actually lead us and is destined, is meant to motivate us and to lead us towards our ultimate spiritual freedom. And how does that happen? Partly it happens by gaining that wisdom that indeed material things, they're just not very satisfying. They do not satisfy us for very long. They're not meant to satisfy us for very long. If they did, we wouldn't search for something greater. But the fact that material things are limited and are disappointing and are frustrating and do break, even when we've been longing for months for our remote control helicopter or whatever it is, they just don't last. Those sources of joy are very brief. Indeed, I even think that a certain kind of depression is a good sign of a sensitive soul. I went through it myself. I went through a moment where I just felt like, none of this stuff that everybody's chasing after is really gonna make me happy. Why even bother? Like, life just felt sort of empty. I felt a bit without direction, like a boat without a rudder. Like I just felt like I was floating, and I just didn't feel, none of that really motivates me because I can see that it's limited, that it just doesn't go anywhere. People are running after careers or after money or after, having a house or finding a wife or a husband. And okay, I can see that even when you get it, that's not necessarily the end of the game. There's got to be something more to life. And so that kind of feeling of emptiness, it led me to go deeper. It led me to seek for something more satisfying than just what the surface of the world was presenting. And that's really, I think, what began my spiritual search. It was a hunger. It was something unsatisfied. It was something that felt like, no, there's gotta be something more. There really must be something more. Is this all there is? And that was the starting point. That gave me this kind of like curiosity and desire to seek deeper. There is a story in the Ramayana about Rama is on a boat crossing a lake, and the touch of his divine feet on the wood of the boat transform the boat, and it becomes golden. And when the boat lands, the boatsman's wife, she sees this miracle and is understood that Rama's feet have transformed the wood into gold. And what does she do? She runs inside and she starts gathering all kinds of wooden objects in her house, and she brings it out and she touches it to Rama's feet and it turns to gold. And she's like, oh, wow. And so she takes another object and it turns to gold. And now she's just thinking, what other objects can she bring and then transform into gold? And her husband sees this and he's just like, you're being foolish. He said, if you see this divine capacity, you don't just think about these limited things. Just surrender yourself to those feet, to those divine feet that transform everything. So, I see this sometimes happen when people, as they begin being curious about the subtler aspects of life, we come across these teachings, I did too, about how the law of attraction works. No, and I remember okay, I started to understand, as you think, so you become. And, and then you get all this guidance okay, well, then you should focus on having, the perfect house that you want, or this or that. this is kind of that same phenomenon of like, okay, yes, recognizing there is this immense capacity of the mind. And as we focus, what we think actually determines and attracts certain experiences to us, or how we experience the world. And in fact, the very science of meditation is based on this truth. As you think, so you become. Our mantra is a way of focusing our mind on where we want to go and attracting that into reality, manifesting it, manifesting the truth of the mantra. But when people just take, okay, wow, yes, it's true, our mind can attract, well, then we start thinking, what other pieces of wood do I have in my house, and how can I transform them into gold? Because yeah, I'd kind of like having as much gold as I can. Rather than recognizing, wow, our mind has this divine capacity. It has this divine transformative capacity. How can I harness that? How can I harness that? How can I use that to not just obtain some small, mundane, limited things where I'm still trying to be in control of the show? I'm not trusting or learning to surrender or open up to that greater divine will. I'm just trying to, get a few pieces of wood transformed into gold. So when we realize that there's this amazing truth of as you think, so you become, we can direct our mind not towards anything limited, but towards that divine, it's represented in the story metaphorically by the feet of Rama. No, just surrendering ourselves to that divine, greater will of the Supreme Soul, and to allow that intelligence, that beauty to work through us and to bring into our lives things that might be far greater than we could have ever conceived of. You might know the Edgar Allan Poe story of the monkey's paw. Have you ever heard it? This is a story where there is a family, a couple, older couple, but they meet this man who has this talisman that he picked up somewhere in the Orient, and it's a monkey's paw. And he's kind of looking to get rid of it. And he says to him, it has some very special quality. It can grant 3 wishes. And they're very happy to take it. And so the man thinks, wow, it's so long, we've been wanting to renovate our house. We've never had enough money. Oh, I just wish that we had, this 100,000 euros so that we could really put a new roof and completely renovate our house to be beautiful. And so he uses the first wish of the monkey's paw. And then somebody comes knocking at their door. And they go to answer it. And there is a man at the door who tells them, I have some very sad news for you. I'm here from an insurance company, and I'm here to report to you that your son, he experienced a very unfortunate and horrific accident at work, and he is no more. And I've come to deliver to you the insurance policy of 100,000 euros. And they're both so overcome with grief at the loss of their son. And they cannot believe that, from this wish, such a terrible misfortune has come. I mean, indeed, they got the 100,000, but not in the way they were expecting. And so now they know they have a second wish. And the second wish is, please, please, just bring my son back. I just want my son. I don't want this money. And then, sometime later, they hear a dragging sound, and then they hear this heavy knocking at the door. And they realize, in fact, that it is their son, but it is their son as a kind of resurrected corpse, in a very frightening form. And when they see this, they're horrified and they just, oh, please, please, just take it away, take it away. And they've used the third wish from the monkey's paw. And that apparition just disappears. It's a pretty heavy story, but the overall message is that, sometimes you get exactly what you want, so you better be careful what you wish for, because it might not come in the way that you're thinking. That's why on the spiritual path, rather than multiplying our desires, using Vistara to desire more and more and more and more things, because the cycle of desires is usually leading to a cycle of frustration or suffering like this. And so rather than increasing our desires, to learn to let go of our desires, to learn to cultivate the capacity of surrender and trust, and to allow the divine will to decide for us. And this brings a flow of miracles and joy into our life that are far greater than what we could have designed on our own limited capacity to grasp and to get more and more for ourselves. So, letting go, you receive more spiritual joy. Maybe not more materially, but more spiritual joy, more satisfaction. And this same capacity of Vistara, of expansion towards the limitless, it's also part of our yogic practice. So I've already mentioned how, using that same idea of as you think, so you become, we learn to focus the mind on mantra. And what is the meaning of mantra? The meaning of mantra is to connect us to this idea of an unlimited source of loving consciousness that's deep within you and that's surrounding you and caring for you and all around you. And by focusing on that, you're letting go of your mundane, your limited identity, and you're going deep into an unlimited feeling of flow, an unlimited feeling of bliss, an unlimited feeling of love. All of those things that we're running after and that we never can get enough of, they're actually within. Seeking within, not without, for that treasure. The process of actually seeking within, my teacher said, it's like somebody has enormous wealth, but they're going door to door as a beggar, asking for food, forgetting that they have this enormous wealth. So, learning to seek within. And even within our practice, what is the obstacle to being able to seek within? It is our externalized mind, which is moving in all kinds of directions after millions of desires, millions of thoughts. And so to overcome that tendency of extroversion and of the mind being scattered, we start out our meditation with harnessing Vistara, with harnessing the expansion of the mind, with rather than staying contracted on those limited thoughts, we try to get a sense of something much larger than our ego, something much larger than ourselves, getting that sense of freedom and spaciousness and expansion. You'll see in our meditation course, that's the first step. The first step, even before you try to go subtler into your mantra, is to experience that freedom that comes from remembering how big the universe around us is. There's even more subtle techniques to access this when you learn your individualized process of meditation. It's called pratyahara. It's one of the aspects of yoga, of letting go, of detaching from the external world and focusing then deep within. And we achieve this by harnessing this aspect of our divine nature of expansion towards the infinite, of expansion towards freedom. Only when we direct it within, then we're able to attain what we are actually seeking when we are searching and going from one object to another, one desire to another. The fulfillment of those desires is deep within your soul, deep within your divine nature. So I hope that you will use your yogic practices to be able to truly experience the full expression of Vistara. Not the Vistara that makes us greedy, but a Vistara that makes us hungry for divine experience, for divine joy, for limitless freedom within. Namaskar.